everybody. Thank you very much for clicking on and welcome to Late Night America on the American Doofus channel. Hi, BTM Sparky. Nope. I don't have anybody scheduled for tonight. Actually, before we get started, and since you're here, I've changed the settings on the sound, and I'm hoping that when I have a guest on, the sound is going to come through better. Would you mind hopping up here real quick for just a couple of minutes? Can you? If you can, do so. If you're at work, don't worry about it. I'll get somebody else a little bit later on. But before we get too many people in here, I thought I would just do a test. Hello, Lotus Bunny. No, I do not have any special guests planned. That does not mean special guests will not be here. It just means I don't have any planned. I've got a lot of stuff to cover, but we do have the one and only BTM Sparky. Hello.
Hello, love.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you today?
Good. The sound is good.
Man, you sound really good. Like we had an echo going in another room earlier, so your sound is really amazing.
Your sound is good too. So, hello, adorable, deplorable, hello, Longbeard, GA from CA. I know none of you can see me, but I'm waving. Lisa Hurley, Sissy McLeod, Hellraiser. My guys, people are popping in here. So,
I love
it's good.
Yes,
It's good. All
it's
right.
good.
Anything you want to talk about real quick while we got you up here?
Anything but the shit show. Well, some people said that they were going to get me fired because I was live streaming at work, and they didn't know that my boss is actually a subscriber, and that she has no problem with me live streaming and or doing YouTube while I'm at work, because I work 10 to 5, right? There's nobody there but me. I work in the window, and as long as I go in there and clean the place up like I'm supposed to and do my job, she doesn't have a problem with anything I do on my downtime. So, yeah, it was pretty funny. I sent her a heads up. She's like, girlfriend, I'm one of your subscribers. I don't have a problem with any of it. As a matter of fact, she came in the other morning real early. She's an early bird. She showed up like an hour early, about 3 a.m. And she's like, are you live streaming? Am I going to interrupt you? It was so sweet. So, whatever.
So, yeah. I love how people make threats without realizing that, sometimes those threats are awfully in vain.
And life is beautiful. Like my channel is like, oh, my channel. What an amazing thing. You have no idea what you did for me and some other people. Like you just really don't.
Well,
and it's a beautiful unfolding.
Talk about it. Talk about your channel a little bit.
I've had people come to me and say, I've never told anybody this before. Like I'm offering a platform for people that have been abused or had abusive situations. Children, I was a molested child. I have a child from a date rape. Like there were things that have gone on in our lives, but some people can't talk about it. And when you don't have someone you trust that you can talk about it with, you that pain stays with you, and it causes other issues in your adult life. And I just think it's a beautiful thing that people trust me with their stories. That's all I'm trying to do is help other people tell their stories. Like everybody's got my story. I'm an open book. But it's just really beautiful. It's been so much fun. Like, it's just been so much fun. There have been a couple of little glitches. Like, I don't understand why people are... I'm learning some things. So my chat got spammed yesterday, and it wasn't nice, and I couldn't see them. They obviously had me blocked, but I'm learning about some things. I'm trying to figure out how to do videos with music because I have a lot of pictures of my garden. I'm a flower child. But yeah, it's just beautiful. I've made this community of people that I absolutely love, and we don't argue and bicker. We talk about all kind of other stuff than this other thing we've been witnessing. And it's a lot of fun, and people are getting set free in ways I never would have imagined. And I love it when somebody says, I've never been able to tell anybody this before. That's important. We're all valuable. Look at
I know. Back there,
That's my booty.
Nest. He's nesting. He's getting ready to let. There we go. He's found. No, not quite yet.
His name is Boudreaux Farbarker. My
Boudreaux.
Boudreaux Farbarker. My cousin had already named him Boudreaux when I got him. I had to call him like for a week to ask him the dog's name. And my daughter-in-law started calling him Booty because he's in love with my daughter-in-law. He would leave me if she would come and get him. He really would. I did a video of him. They came over to the house, and I knew they were coming. So when they first got here, I did a video, and he's like howling and singing and stuff. And she sent me a message later. She said, "I'm so jealous. Who was he talking to like that?" I'm like, "It was you, dummy. He doesn't talk to anybody like that. You were coming up the walkway. I just couldn't film both of you at the same time." So she started calling him Booty, and there's a whole lot of jokes in having a dog named Booty. I could say, "Okay, I'm going to go home and check on my booty," and people will turn around and look at me like I'm crazy. So he's my best friend. Hey, everybody, I love y'all.
Everybody in chat?
Yeah, they're all there. How beautiful.
Well, you said that, I unlocked you, and you have a platform for people to come and tell your stories. That's what this channel has been for a long time. We've allowed a lot of different people to come up and tell their stories and speak their opinions, and we try to do so without interrupting anybody. Even though we may not always agree with everything, we try to do it respectfully. And
right.
I think you're carrying that on, and I imagine your chat's pretty protective of who comes in and who's able to, because there's some vulnerability there.
Yeah, and I don't want that there. That I'm
Right.
not. Like, I wasn't in that. I wasn't in that. I've witnessed it, but I can neither confirm nor deny anything that's happened there. But like, I wanted the opportunity, for people. Like, we all grew to love each other. We had to find something else to do. This thing is going to end, I hope, someday. Like, fires usually do burn out. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Just don't, let it burn out. But like,
I thought it was going to burn out when they left the mall. Then I thought, okay, it's going to burn out when they leave Bunker Hill. And then I thought, well, you know what? This is getting to be where maybe there's too many people in high places that don't want this to burn out.
I started having a lot of questions about it, but like me and my folks, we've decided what we're going to do on local levels as a whole, and we're going to continue to support each other and other small channels. I think it's an amazing thing that we could like bring all these other small channels up that are totally separate from that, even though we know one another from that.
Yeah, this.
I love y'all too.
Sparky
I'm
getting
seeing
a
I
lot of
love
love in
you
the chat.
everywhere. I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just got off with Mutt. Like me and True Celtic Mutt, like we don't agree on hardly anything.
Yeah.
But we're still friends and we have a good time. We laugh, we talk about everything. So that's what I'm trying to do. Like I don't want to be at war all the time. I don't want people coming along saying mean ass stuff to me all the time. I got issues. I'm trying to navigate life just like everybody else. And I can't do hate groups. I can't do it. It's not for me.
Yeah.
I like to talk a little smack, but anybody I talk about, I will tell them blatantly to their face exactly what I said. I don't want to be that person. You know what I'm saying? Like if you go around bashing everybody else all the time, eventually people will think you're not very interesting and that you're very unhappy and that you need a big hug.
The more positive we put out, or the more positive we try to put out, the more positive we get back, and the more negative. And the more negative we put out, the more negative we get back.
I love energy, okay? Positive makes positive. Negative makes negative. And negative comes along and tries to collapse positive, but it's scientifically and universally impossible for the negative to destroy the positive. So, like, life's a boomerang. If you put out bad stuff, man, that boomerang is bad when it comes back and gets you. So I just always try to live my life like it's a boomerang. And yeah, I'm not perfect. I talk shit about people. I do crazy stuff. I lose my emotions sometimes, but I really do try to practice being a good human being and caring about other people. And I really want to see other people make it. Like, nobody's got more than me. I'm doing better than I've ever done in my life. I'm not jealous of other people making money or having more followers or any of that stuff. I'm just me. And there's a wonderful platform for people to be able to come forth and say this happened to me, and it not re-victimize them. I hate re-victimization. It is wrong.
Yeah,
um
that's why I brought up that if you do go to BTM Sparky's chat, her chat is probably going to be pretty protective because of the vulnerability in there, and it's justifiable, in my
I,
opinion.
I'm not going to put up with bullshit. I'm not.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not a turn the other cheek kind of girl. Like, you can come here. Like, I had some people come in that they were welcomed, and there's like, and I think one of them got really uncomfortable and she left. And I reached out to her later. I'm like, that's not what my room is. I said, and if people treat you that way in my room, I'm gonna have something to say about it, because I don't want it like that in my room. I don't want, like, we've all been in these arguments in this war that's so ridiculous, but right is right and wrong is wrong. And I did a video. I'm like, you know what? There's a lot of people we may end up having to apologize to before this is over with. My best girlfriend was my enemy in the street. I made sure she went somewhere else, and she always acted like it never bothered. She was always just as happy. It never bothered her. I was cussing her out and calling her everything but who she was. And the day that I went away to recovery, that was the first person I saw. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Because I was going to be there for a while. And I just finally, I said, you know what? I just really want to apologize to you, because you didn't deserve any of that. And I don't want to be your enemy anymore. And she's still my best buddy. She just called me the other morning to fuss at me about YouTube.
When you apologize to somebody, even if they don't apologize back, even if they don't accept it, when you apologize to somebody, it kind of takes the burden off of you.
I felt bad that I treated her that way, knowing what an amazing human being she is. Like, she's really, I mean, she's my girl. She's been my friend ever since. She's been my friend for 18 years now. But she was my enemy. Like, ooh, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Well,
love her.
I got Mechanic
Yeah, you
Eric on
gotta,
here. I got
you got,
Mechanic Eric on here. Do you know Mechanic Eric?
I do, and I got a lot of questions about Eric. Eric reminds me of the guy. He reminds me of me. I want to be everybody's friend. I want to see everybody quit setting bridges on fire. I want to see like good alliances and friendships form from all of this. And I feel like sometimes Eric's like me. He's just in the middle, and he keeps like, I
Ah,
don't know what his motives are, but like I don't, like, I know what has happened to Eric, like, without having to know what happened to Eric. And yes, the patriarchy, I'm having that taken care of, love. All
okay, he's back on here. All right.
right, so you
So,
want to talk to him? Look, let me
yeah.
go and you talk to him.
Okay.
I love
All
him
right.
so much. Thank
I
you.
love you too. We'll see you soon, Sparky.
Okay, bye bye.
How are you doing, sir? Here we go. Let me turn down a little bit here. Can you hear me? Oh, he disappeared. Okay. Well, we had Mechanic Eric on for a second. Hopefully, we'll have him back on. Uh, let's try again. Can you hear me? I don't think you can. It's like maybe I'm getting pranked. Well, yeah, I know. Okay. Oh, Lori's in here. Hey, Lori Arnold. Hello, Lisa Hurley, Knowles Gig, Max Smith, ACB. Thank you all for being here. Al Munson. Lolo's Lounge. I need more popcorn. Carl Hunter, you need a backbone to operate voice chat. It is known. He's been having trouble hearing things lately. Okay. Thanks, Lisa. GA's got the popcorn. Okay, Lori Arnold waving, saying she talked to the sheriff. Hop up here, Lori. You want to give us a report? You want to hop on for a couple of minutes? Howdy, Mike. Howdy, howdy. Robert Moles. Proud Army girlfriend. I read I didn't comment or anything on it, but read the tweet from what's potentially happening this December, and that's not good. And actually, I was going to do all this at the end. Lori Arnold's got my attention. She can hop on here. I saw her. She waved and said that she talked to the sheriff. So if she wants to hop up here and give a report, we're happy to try and do that. And hopefully we got the audio thing switched and fixed. I want to hear from Eric too. So hello to everybody. Thank you all for being here, and we'll see if we hear from Lori Arnold, or again, who knows who we're going to hear from. Hi, Cunning Stunt. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start things off like I normally do with breaking news, and see what mainstream media is telling us the big stories are. Refuting annexation, Ukrainian forces are pushing from Lyman towards Luhansk. The prosecution makes opening arguments in the Oath Keepers sedition trial. That's New York Times. Remember, there was a sedition trial in Michigan. Some people in Michigan, some radical right in Michigan tried to, they had a plot to kidnap the governor and take over the Michigan government. They were tried for sedition because they had plans evidently to eventually take over the federal government. But though the people in Michigan were acquitted of those charges, this is a different situation. This was more than just the planning stage, according to charges. CNN says the death toll for Hurricane Ian surpasses 100, and the search for survivors continue. Trump sues CNN for $475 million over the big lie, and this is basically more than likely just a move to try to influence CNN's coverage of him. And I doubt if it will amount to much of anything. However, the $1.5 billion with a B lawsuit that Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, is facing in the Supreme Court today, they denied his motion to have that thrown out. So it's going to go back down to the court it came from, and there will be a ruling on that coming soon. National Archives notified the Trump lawyers back in May of 2021 that it was missing the Kim Jong-un, the North Korean leader. The communications between the leader of North Korea and the President of the United States at that time are missing. North Korea launches missile over Japan, sending residents to shelter. And did somebody pop up here? Mechanic Eric popped up here. Let me go back over here, and then we'll get back to this. We'll get back to the actual news of stuff that's going on. Eric, can you hear me?
Yes, Ken, I was having problems. I kept popping out. Sorry about that.
No problem. Thank you for hopping on here.
Yeah, I the video off just so that because I know with breaking up, if people have their video on. So turn it on if you want me to for a minute, so I can verify it's me.
Oh, you can if you want. I know it's you. I've heard your voice on enough other sites. I can verify it's you. But if you want to
All
try,
right.
yeah, because I think, I think most people know what you look like. And if it works better without it, it's okay. If you want it, if you bring it on, I'll bring you up full screen.
That's fine. Uh, I just it seems like my name has been in a lot of people, so I figured I'd pop on, and if you've got any questions for me, maybe you've heard that you might want to ask me, or the chat wants to discuss. Do you channel too much? Not that my mod's ready, but figured I might as well put myself out here. Questions, because I seem to be the popular guy.
I think one thing I think is an issue, and it's not an issue with you. Um, there's an issue that sides have been chosen um, on a number of different things, including the streamer wars thing, and who's friends with 1776 or X 1776, and who's friends with the opposition, and people think you can communicate with both, and uh, I think that's led to a lot of the fact that you try to communicate with everybody. Uh, a lot of people just don't understand that that's how it should and normally did work up until recent history.
Yeah, a lot of people seem like they want to be close to what other people have to say. I mean, hell, I was talk to Ant and AP in DC. Had it not rained the next 2 days, I probably, I mean, I want to live in an echo chamber. I mean, other people have to say, upset about about me going and visiting the squirrels. You guys have to realize that, a good three, almost 4 months, every time I needed somebody to fix their vehicle, I mean, there was just threw me their keys and said, hey, take my car. If you need to go to the grocery store and get some, stuff. I mean, they were helping me out a lot. So, yeah, maybe because I was only three, I wanted to go and say, because I didn't fully understand why in 1776. Because I didn't have a chance to do it over the phone. What's wrong with investing a little bit of time in something that I've seen in person to sit here and try to figure out and why they chose to do something.
Okay, your volume you're breaking up a little bit, but I think we get the gist of um, what you're saying, and the audio. Yeah. Hey, Carl, I know you're a real good computer guy. Can I contact you through the email go between we have and ask you about this, because I thought I had it fixed, but I need somebody that knows a lot more than I do. Thank you if I can. If not, I understand. Okay. Question: why was Eric laughing at Red's vile attack on Lisa?
All right. You can hear him clearly having a conversation. Working on a laptop. Mention to a word that Red is saying. The background. I wasn't even listening to it. So you're sitting here and taking my laugh, reading on my phone, or something that Mel said, something that Red was saying. He was over there whispering, 15 feet away from me and Mel that were. I had no idea what the hell he was saying, nor was I what Red was saying.
Okay.
So
yeah.
That my laughter that I said to do with anything Red said is just an assumption that you're clearly here. I'm having a completely separate conversation.
Okay. All right. That has happened. It could be Dizzle. Thank you. And crap, I looked over at the chat and I was getting ready to ask something. People, when we say we want to try to bring people together, there's no way in the world we can bring everybody together. But I think what people like us try to do is bring as many people together as we can, and understand that, because there's the word over. I saw the word over there, unifier, and I think sadly I think our country's past that. I wish it wasn't, but I think it's more now just trying to make us tolerant of each other. You know what I'm saying?
Really, any time that we've had any type of divide, we TPC. I literally tried to bring any time we had any problems in the literally it was the guy that was trying to sit here problems and get people to get along.
Yeah.
I'm not the guy that somebody away because they made one bad decision, because they did something about, you can't sit here and judge one person or judge one action. If it's something, I mean, that's just the way it is. I just don't get it. I thought it was, how I felt about Bandit. I was not defending Bandit in any.
Okay, that was going to be,
very
that
clear.
was the next thing coming.
I made it very clear on Bandit's side on this one,
Okay, you made it, because you cut out there, you made it very clear that you're not on Bandit's side on this one. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
It was in my panel. Either he was guilty or not. Okay?
Okay.
It doesn't, if he's innocent or not, he took the charge. So therefore, he has to suffer. I said that clear as day.
Okay.
So even though Vern, which I had no knowledge of, for some reason people think that I'm watching streamers. I had no idea that Vern sent money to get her to his father or whatever the hell the situation was, dying. Why the hell would I know the stream? Why would I?
Yeah, I had no idea about that. Can you repeat that? What was it? What was Vern actually raising the money for?
I was told Bandit's wife, where this father was that was dying, because she was one place he was another. That's, after the fact. I don't know.
Okay.
Why, like, I'm watching everybody's streams, what I was told.
Okay. All right.
So
Anything else you want to? Go ahead.
I have a conversation. I don't defend still getting shit because Vern was on my panel. No, that's like you getting shit.
Mm-hmm.
What does anything I do? Why would you get shit for anything?
Yeah. Because again, it's because sides have been chosen, and if you're not on the right side, and you talk with somebody on the other side, then you're going to get shit about talking to them. And it shouldn't be that way, is what I'm saying. And I try to be in the middle, and I get shit for talking to people all the time. But I also get the other side of the coin. Like, I'm glad you had that conversation because we learned something that I didn't know. So it works both ways.
No, I would say I've been watching the chat. I specifically came to a spot that I can in 4K all the time. I do my so I wanted to make sure that I had real. So I'm pretty sure this is something on your if I'm cutting out.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That's why.
It's been a
video out.
It's been a problem, and I don't have enough technology. And again, it might be the software I'm using, and not just the setting. It might be the software itself. All right. Hey, would you come back on here when I've got a little better reception?
Yeah, I just like I said, here I was a peas mouth, and ants didn't do anything. I literally went to people. Because I'm open-minded and I don't want to suffer. What the hell?
Okay.
God.
Yeah, I know. I hear it all the time.
So, yeah. Well, you have.
All right, man. Thank you, and you're welcome on here anytime, Eric. I want to talk more. I want to hear more of your story, and I want everybody to be able to hear it. So when we've got a better contact on my end, we'll make sure and do that. Hop back into the chat and have some fun.
All right, bye.
All right, man. Thank you. Hello again, everybody. Thank you for that. And it's on my end. It's odd that we had such a good conversation with Sparky, and then everything went down the tubes. But thank you, Eric, for coming on. Don't rip your pants on the fence. Okay. I don't know if that's meant at me or meant at Eric. I'm not really on a fence. I know there are a lot of divisions in our country, and they're not going to heal overnight. They're not going to heal for a considerable amount of time. My concern, as I'm about to show you, is that for some reason we decide we want to fight amongst ourselves when we've got plenty of potential enemies outside of our borders that we ought to be a little more focused on. So, okay, I don't know. Some of the chat's going by really fast. So you all keep chatting, and I'm going to show a few other things here, and I'll pop back over in the chat. Anybody has any questions about what's going on screen? Just let me know. Starting out with the close to the heart. Taylor, Louisville, Kentucky, everything from the 2 nights of unrest, some would call riots, all the way through the trials and the fact that the Attorney General decided there would, basically, if you haven't watched all of it, the Attorney General basically ran a scam of an investigation, and the feds came in, and everybody that was involved has been charged and either pleaded guilty or been through trial, and now the NAACP of Louisville is calling for the resignation of Kentucky AG. And, those that followed the story know why, and those that don't, no matter the pigment of your skin, are starting to understand that there are different systems in our country for different people. Okay, let's just say that there's more than one justice system, or at least there's more systems operating under the justice system, and I think more people sadly out of that, or are learning that fact to be true. It's just something to think about. Again, I'm not telling you to. I'm just giving you things to think about, not telling you what to think or how to think. And let me go to this real quick. This probably once a week on the program, but now we got an X-class solar flare potentially coming in. Could possibly do some satellite disruption. Nothing major. There is a major area of sunspots right up here that will be Earth-facing later on in the week that we will be keeping an eye on, and that's a science joke there. Ion, keeping an eye on. Never mind. I'm going to just touch on a couple of things that some of you probably haven't heard about. The possibility that the magnetic poles are shifting, okay? And I'm not talking about the rotational poles. I'm talking about the poles in the magnetic field. They're both shifting, both the positive pole and the negative pole. I'm going to get into it too much depth tonight, but I will in an upcoming episode because I got some other stuff I want to get in depth with. But I do want to real fast. Hold on a second. I just want to show you real fast. This was basically where the poles were in 1900. This is the North Pole. This is the South Pole as of 1900. And this shows the movement of the poles in rapid time sequence through 2000 to potentially where they're going to be in 2025. The North Pole is migrating rapidly towards Russia or China. There are theories that the poles are going to keep migrating to meet. Theories that it's going to get to a specific point and they're both going to rapidly flip. The magnetic poles have flipped in the past, just not while humanity's been on board the planet. So nobody really knows what's going to happen or if anything's going to happen. However, with these movements, we do know one thing has happened, and that's that the magnetosphere has weakened. So when there is an X-class flare coming, that basically means X-ray level radiated particles coming into Earth's atmosphere. And the more that happens, the worse it is. And we'll stop that science lesson there for the moment. Again, I'll get into more depth, and we have gotten into depth in the past. This isn't a 1776 show. I know a lot of you are here because of 1776 stuff, and I thank you. But we've been doing this for a long time, and we talk about other stuff on here, and we'll get back to the 1776 stuff if anybody is still wanting to talk about it. But first, let me get to the rest of the stories. For those that don't know, there's been unrest in Iran. The youth have basically been trying to organize and have a revolution rise up of the youth and overthrow the religious government of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. Here you see the list of protests growing. Originally, it was just in the north, where the one young lady was killed while in police custody. We talked about that several episodes back. The protest continues to grow, and the Supreme Leader has vowed to use every means necessary to stop it. North Korea launched a ballistic missile over today, and sirens sounding in Japanese cities after were instructed to shelter amidst suspected North Korean ICBM launch. It was just a reminder that anything can happen at any time. There are a bunch of crazy people, and some of them are leaders of other countries. So it's terrifying for about 20 minutes. And then we found out that the missile landed into the Pacific Ocean. But just to put it in context, in case you're going, yeah, what's the big deal? All of the other missile tests go up and come down in the Sea of Japan. The Sea of Japan is between North Korea and Japan. What happened today was a launch that was coming towards Japan, and thankfully flew over Japan. So this is different than what's happened in the past. Could it be because U.S. Vice President was there? Could it be because of an agreement North Korea and Russia have? We don't know. The U.S. Treasury Department imposed additional sanctions on Iran because Iran has been providing drones to Russia against international sanctions. Iran's been giving, not giving, but providing weapons to Russia. I'm going to come back. Okay. We talked last night, and I had a few messages saying, hey, got the Poseidon thing again. So we're going to do that. This is from 11 hours ago. The Russian Army submarine K-329, the Belgorod, entered the Northern Ocean. So we have tracking of it again. However, it is deep water. Its mission is to test Poseidon's torpedo. The Poseidon can travel up to 10,000 kilometers underwater, then explode near the beach and create a radioactive tsunami. The submarine has 6 Poseidon torpedoes. So there's only one Belgorod submarine in operation at the moment, and it has been confirmed torpedoes. This was back in late July or early August. Now, we're going to spend a couple seconds on this. It's only 1:14 long, but this doesn't have titles. I found it with subtitles, but it's broken into 2 separate videos. So I want you to see the first one. This is showing the Samurai missile, and how within I think it's 3 minutes and 45 seconds of launch that it would hit Great Britain. It would hit England, which is a rather scary thing to think about. But they have tested the missiles, and they are indeed capable of rapid deployment. Okay, thank you. And again, this shows the entire thing. I just wanted to play it through. He's speaking Russian, so I know there are a few people that watch. I don't know, but a few people that watch that do speak. So the majority of us don't. So here's the videos in 2 seconds. Actually, Indian defense analysis. This is from April. Was talking about the new Russian torpedo can flood coastal cities with radioactive tsunamis. And the torpedo can create a 500 meter, which is 1,640 feet tidal wave. China might have a similar weapon. Here's what the weapon actually looks like. They call it a drone, but it's actually just a long self-propelled, and it's propelled by nuclear power, so it's quiet and not easy to track, and can supposedly carry up to a 100 megaton bomb. So this okay, this is the first part of the video.
То Путин прямо заявил.
Let me pull it up. Actually, okay, let me see get through this.
Об опасностях, которые такой шаг представляет для России. Ведь подлетное время до Москвы составит лишь 12 минут.
Это и есть серьезная угроза для нас. В таком случае мы будем вынуждены, я хочу это подчеркнуть, именно вынуждены предусмотреть зеркальные личные действия. Что это вынужден создать и развернуть виды вооружений не только в отношении тех территорий, с которых для нас будет исходить соответствующая прямая угроза, но и в отношении тех территорий, где находится центр принятия решений по применению угрожающих нам ракетных комплексов.
Это принцип новый поворот в сторону справедливости. Ведь до сих пор Америка могла посиживаться за океаном, подставляя под ответный удар тех, что безрассудно согласились разместить, например, пусковые установки для ракет средней дальности. Кто это? Ну, например, Румыния. Там МК-41 размещены. Еще Польша согласилась. А может, Грузия потом пойдет на это. Но что нам Польша? Польша в случае пуска с ее территории получит. Нам реально возмездие в случае ответа удара прямо по территории США, как сказал Путин, по центрам принятия решений. Не поляки же и не румыны будут в случае чего жать на кнопку. Они от нее далеко. И далее проследим за путинской мыслью. Это важно. У нас есть ответ.
Так вот, еще об одной перспективной новинке, работа над которой идет успешно и в запланированные сроки, безусловно, будет завершена. А именно, хочу сказать, около 9 метров.
Okay, so basically what that portion of it was saying is that it can travel 600 kilometers a minute, and basically reach Great Britain within a few moments. Now, this is the other option that came right after. This is part of the video, basically. Hold on. This explains Poseidon a little better. A potentially very dangerous thing.
Другой вариант — погрузить Британию в морскую пучину — российский робот-беспилотник «Посейдон». Он приближается к цели на километровой глубине со скоростью 200 км в час. Нет никакого способа остановить этот подводный этой термоядерной торпеды у берегов Британии поднимет гигантскую волну, цунами высотой до 500 метров. Такой водяной шквал и носителем экстремальных доз радиации. Пройдя над британскими островами, он превратит то, что от них, может быть, еще и останется, в радиоактивную пустыню, надолго непригодную хоть для чего-то.
Okay, so that's what that is. How effective would it be? What is the science behind it? Is it even real? Those are things that I can't answer. However, CNN had a whole right side column of their website today devoted to the fact that nuclear options are on the table. And if they are going to do something, I would think it would not be over here. But again, in that video, he points out that's what we all think. If they do something over here, it would be something like that. A tidal wave coming out of nowhere. So are those weapons real? We don't know. Is the threat real? Is it a bluff? We don't know. However, keep in mind the other stories we've been showing you on here about how ill-prepared Russia and their army is and has been. There was a story on mainstream media today that Russian soldiers are told to bring their own sleeping bags and to bring tampons to put in bullet holes. That's not going to do much for morale, or to make people want to actually show up. And as we've also been reporting, not only people are leaving the country in droves. Anybody that can get out is getting out because they know what's coming. The conventional way is not working and is not going to work. He's going to use other weapons at some point. We need to prepare ourselves for that, because as best we can, because we really don't know in what form that will be, or how, or if, or where it will impact. But as we always say, it's something to think about. Yeah, Sean, American Rebel. I heard that and I was just like, my gosh. That tells us something about where their military is. And I would say, because we covered this in depth. We were covering it for a few months before it actually started happening, because I had some inside information. And just like I tend to get inside information on some of the stuff here. Money to make and freedom to save. MAGA Americans, I didn't know you were in here. Well, thank you for popping in. Okay, people are talking. Max Flower. Hello, Max. Hello, Robert. Check. Hello to everybody in the chat. If I missed you, it's not intentional. Pluck the patriarchy. Russia is much weaker than I ever thought. Yeah, that's one of the things that Chris, our military expert, last time he was on, we were talking about, and I kept bringing up could Russia be a paper tiger? Because I kept getting intelligence that the oligarchs and the generals in the Russian military had siphoned off a whole bunch of money. That's how they got all these yachts and everything. And in actuality, two generals were each taken from the same fund without the other one noticing it, and all of a sudden there's nothing there, and their equipment's in disarray, and they're handing out these old rusty AK-47s, and telling people and saying there's not going to be any training. All these are reports I've been getting, and they're reports from credible sources. So the Russian army is not anywhere near as strong, and the entire world, including China, has told Russia, don't annex those countries. We don't support that. We support the Ukrainian border, the Ukrainian sovereignty of the Ukrainian border. Putin went ahead and did that. And he said, now this is Russian territory. And if you attack it, you're attacking Russia. He has only one choice, and that is to win. That was another thing. That was another different article in this whole column on CNN's page. It was all about Russia using nuclear. What's the most likely nuclear option? United States is starting to prepare responses in case Russia launches a tactical nuclear weapon. There were all these things, including one from an ex-Russian oligarch that says Putin has put his own life at risk. The only choice he has is winning. Now, this is a desperate man. Some people would say this is a psychotic. And it's something that we as Americans should really be aware of, okay? We spend so much time fighting with each other that we miss a lot of things going on in the world that we should at least be aware of, okay? Caramel corn or cheese corn. Hi, Lori Arnold. Lori, if you want to hop up here, you can. I'm all done with the news part, and I'm coming up on an hour mark here. So, anybody wants to come up? Mag Americas, you want to come up? Santa already fat. Actually, he's slimming down a bit. Mags, you want to come up? If you do, you're more than welcome. Carl, Brett's going to mess around and anyway. Okay. Yeah, hang on a second. I get a couple of messages over here. No, I'm not trying to cause fear. I'm not trying to cause fear. I'm not trying to cause panic. I'm just giving out information that you're not going to hear on mainstream media. You're not going to hear on other places about all this stuff. The magnetic poles moving, the magnetic sphere that the magnetosphere that protects us from the sun's radiation. It's weakening because those poles are moving. All of this stuff that we talk about, you're not going to hear it. 99% of the people aren't going to even know it's a possibility. And that's all we are putting out, that these things are possibilities. And the more that it gets talked about, the more you have to prepare. Because if you prepare, you're not going to panic as much. And prepare, it means something different to different people. And I've actually got a 4-part little series on it. I think in total it's under an hour. 4 parts: prepare mentally, prepare spiritually, prepare physically and prepare emotionally. And to some people, you got to prepare all four. To some people, I only got to have one thing, you know. To some people, if I've got some food and some water stored and I know I can make it a couple of weeks, I feel better about it because whatever happens, I know I'm prepared a little bit and I'm not going to panic as much as somebody that has absolutely no idea what's going on or why it's going on. And preparing emotionally, just the fact that you think about, hey, things could happen. And when it does, it's like, okay, I've already kind of thought about it. It's not like I never thought this couldn't happen. And you'll be a little more calm. You're not going to be as panicked. So we just say prepare. Don't be paranoid. Prepare. Don't be paranoid. So you don't panic. It is heavy, Sagebrush, Rebel. And we don't, it's not a nonstop thing on this channel. We don't talk like this or about these subjects nonstop like some channels do. There are some channels that it's nothing about fear, prep, prep, prep. Here's what you need to prep. Buy this from me. That's not what we do here. You know, we just give out facts. And one of the facts is the times we live in, everybody ought to think about being prepared for anything that could happen, whether it be a 155 mile an hour hurricane suddenly hits, or whether it be 2 months from now, there's a La Nina going across the middle of America that instead of dropping tropical storms, it's dropping winter storms, and snow's piling 10 feet high, and there's nothing anybody can do. You know, you never know what's going to happen. If Russia bombs somewhere that we are associated with, we're suddenly at war. A lot of stuff that could potentially happen. And it's all real. And we are living in times where people ought to prepare. Now, what that means to you is different. And that's my problem with all the prepping shows and all that stuff, because to some people, being prepared just means I want to survive the next day. You know, I can't think about how am I going to survive 2 weeks from now with no food, no clean water, no electricity. Well, there are people in Florida right now thinking about how am I going to survive the next 2 weeks it's actually going on. And it's not just in Florida. It's going on all around the world. There are floods going on, storms of biblical proportions, earthquakes. I mean, we live in times that you need to be prepared, in my opinion. And I'm sorry if that's too heavy for a lot of you, but we got to talk about it. Russia isn't as bad as China is now. I would say to that, China is more dangerous militarily based upon their conventional military. I think China's probably more stable than Russia. I think Russia's more a loose cannon, but they're not anywhere near as strong. And therefore, in the context I think you meant, yeah, China is much more bad than Russia right now. I'm with you there, Proud Army Girlfriend, especially after seeing the video that America 2.0 put up. Mags, I agree with that. Absolutely 100% agree with that. And he said everyone better stock up before the elections, because no matter what happens after the elections, prices are going to go sky high. And we may not be able to make it to the elections. However, the elections are about a month away, November 11th. And I'm going to speak on that for just a second. In some states, in order to vote, you have to be registered 30 days before the election. Today is officially now October 4th. So, if you're in one of those states, you need to register now. You need to check and make sure you're registered, because a lot of states have purged voters, which means they've removed them from their rolls. You'll have to re-register. They do it oftentimes just to be a pain in the ass, just to keep people from voting, because a lot of people are like, well, I registered, I went and voted, and all of a sudden I found out I'm not registered anymore. What's up with that? A lot of stuff, a lot of shenanigans from both parties. All right? Let me repeat that. A lot of shenanigans from both parties when it comes time for elections. Cover yourself as best you can. Make sure you're registered. Make sure you know where your voting place is, and do some research as to who's running for what offices. The upcoming election, the midterm elections, every congressman, every congressperson, 356 congresspeople, they are all up for re-election. They're up for re-election every 2 years. 1/3 of the Senate is up for re-election every 2 years. Then state, county officials will be in the midterm elections as well. So but this is for real. This upcoming election is incredibly important. No matter which side you're on, I thank you for watching this. Those that watch know that I try to stay in the middle, but I lean middle left. And if you are, it doesn't matter which direction you lean, or if you're incredibly far right or you're incredibly far left. However, if you're incredibly far right and you're incredibly far left, you probably think voting doesn't matter. But we just talked about how important the Attorney General in Kentucky ended up being in a case in Louisville. So it does matter. Your votes do matter. Your votes matter locally. Your votes matter on state levels, and your votes do matter in federal levels. And also, don't be surprised if you don't start hearing a bunch of stuff from Russia and China, the two countries we've been talking about, from operatives, people associated with Russia, with China, start talking about election integrity. There's not going to be any election integrity. You're not going to be able to believe whatever the elections say. That's going to be all over the place for the next month. I'm just giving you a heads up. And for those that don't know, I have a background in politics, and some of you, I don't know who all's on here, but some of you know that I've showed the receipts. So off my soapbox. Florida doesn't need help. Stay out of. Hold on a second. Florida doesn't need help. Stay out of Florida, you damn commies. So much love in these comments. Doofus, watch my friend's channel, Anonymous Official. Yeah, again, those that have watched the show for a long time know that I've got some anonymous contacts, and some of the international streams. Last night the show went to 7 different countries. The majority of viewers are in the United States. We had 2,220 comments in the comment section last night, according to the analytics. And some of the streams that go to other countries are anonymous. So it gets one view on this platform, but actually there are a whole lot of people watching this, and I thank you all, honestly. It's not about the views. It's not about the money. It's about having a place to tell the truth. And while everybody may not agree with my truth or your truth, if you're the one on here telling your truth, we can still tell it. So, Doofus, what's my friend? Yes, I will. Anonymous Official. On YouTube, I'm assuming. Okay. Mindbender must be a Republican. Brett, can you believe this? Doofus probably thinks the Ayatollah of Iran's a bad guy. This dude propaganda drunk too, maybe. Carl, you're right. I do. I'm not a fan of the Ayatollah of Iran. I was amazed at the uprising in Iran and the women burning their hijabs in protest, and how it just grew and grew and grew and grew, and it might be so big that they can't do anything about it, which would be awesome to see, but I'm afraid it's not going to end well for those that are in rebellion. But yes, Carl, you're right. I do think he's a bad guy. Yeah, and one thing I learned from being in politics is you got to have a whole bunch of money. That was not what I was going to say, but that's the number one thing. If you are an idealist and you think, I've got to. Never mind. This isn't about me. You can't make people believe what you believe. You can't make people change their minds. You can't make people listen, let alone hear, because there's a big difference between listening and hearing. And the one thing that we do try to do is get people to think. And a lot of you, especially on this channel and in this chat, this doesn't apply to a lot of you, because a lot of you already are good thinkers, open thinkers, free thinkers. Too many people aren't. Too many people only look one direction. And if you only look one direction, you're only going to see one thing. And whatever is seeing is controlling your thoughts. You're not controlling them. Somebody's telling you what to think and how to think. And you've got to broaden your horizons. You got to look at other options, because if you only look one way, you only see one thing. And whatever thing that is, that's what's actually controlling you. And again, this is some heavy stuff, but Election Day is the 8th, not the 11th. Thank you, Freedom Fighter. You're exactly right. November the 8th. November 11th is Veterans Day. November 8th. So again, if you're in one of the states that require you to register a month in advance, then make sure you get registered coming up really quickly here. America's dying and people infighting and spewing evil hatred in this chat. So sad. Sorry, Mr. Doofus. Too much garbage in here. PJ, Josie, I understand that. I respect that. you can personally block anybody you want and everybody you want. And I apologize, but America's messy. The concept of democracy is messy. The idea of compromise is messy because it means people from different sides coming together and almost always reluctantly. From the very beginning of our country, from the founding of our country, the compromises that have had to be made for us to get to where we're at, it's messy. It's been messy. And the good thing about this being messy is it's not an echo chamber. It's not hearing the same things over and over from me or from everybody in the chat. And believe it or not, that's a positive thing, that it's not an echo chamber, that there are differences of opinions. Does it get ugly? Sometimes, yes, and I do apologize for that. And like Sparky and I said, BTM Sparky and I said at the beginning, we need to remember the negative stuff we put out, especially hate, is going to come back on us at some point. You just, something to think about. Yeah, Alan, we got another one coming up. Carl isn't in America. Okay. North America anyway. Okay. Hold on a second here. Mechanic Eric, doofus is someone that's left center. Is there anything that you think you can agree with that the right center believe in? Absolutely. Absolutely, Eric. I think there are a lot of things. Absolutely. Yeah. I think the right center and the left center, I think that we're going to find out. We're going to have to come together. It'll be messy, but we're going to have to compromise, because if things go ugly, there are going to be groups on both sides, left and right, that if you're not one of them, you're against them. You're either with us or against us. And there are going to be those of us in the middle that don't want any of that. It might come down to where there's no alternative. We got to choose sides because of life and death or whatever. But that's what I was getting at when I had you on there. The idea that those of us that are in the middle have to keep working to try to get as much of the middle together as possible. Because there are going to be those extremes. And I understand and I respect the fact that there are going to be those extremes. I don't agree with them. I know why they're both there. And I acknowledge they're both there. And I acknowledge that we won't find common ground in too many circumstances with anybody on an extreme one way or the other. And we just have to tolerate those existences on both sides at the moment and focus on trying to do the right thing as we believe in the middle, whatever that middle is. As I said, it's going to be messy, but it needs to at least be attempted, in my opinion. Carl is a king. He should be an American. He's a Proud Boy material, standing up for Lisa. Okay, a couple of things. I didn't know anything about, and I'm still not really sure what. All I heard was what Lori said, that Red Squirrel said. A couple of things. I want to apologize to Lisa Hurley, because if I'd have known about it earlier, as I said last night, that's horrible. That's beyond despicable. Okay, I don't know what happened to make that happen, but Red Squirrel, Red Squirrel talks a lot of crap constantly, and Red Squirrel comes from New. And I'm not making excuses. I'm just trying to explain. Red Squirrel talks a lot of crap, and he's one of those people that, in my opinion, just from observation, you're never really sure whether he's serious or not. And I imagine Jersey Jay's probably like that too. You know, they talk a lot of crap, but you're never really sure if they're serious or not. And you probably have to know them really well to talk crap back to them, because while they talk a lot of crap, they're not used to people talking crap back to them that they don't know, and it quickly becomes confrontation. All right, I'm not defending it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying that could be. It just could be, that could be who Red is. He could be one of those kind of people that you leave him alone. And I'm not saying Lisa should have done. I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form this is anyway Lisa Hurley's fault. I'm not saying that, and I don't believe that for a second. I'm just saying we learned two things here. All right, and one of the things is sometimes there are people you just leave them alone. You just ignore them, and we also learned that people step over the line a lot. And again, I'm sorry it happened to Lisa Hurley, because everything I've seen, she's a sweetheart, dynamite young woman. So I'm sorry that happened, and. With that, let me get back over to the chat. Do you think they're using Hellraiser? You got some great questions. Do you think they're using HARP? HARP is HARRP, and HARP was originally constructed for monitoring big scale, I believe it was microwave radar from space. But what they found out was that you can use magnetic energy to create weather. You can't. They've also learned you can't always control it. So sometimes when they create it, it gets out of hand. I don't know. That'll probably get. I'll probably either have to delete this part, clip this part out, because we're not supposed to talk about this stuff. But HARP exists. There's pictures of it. You can see it on Google. And it has not been shut down. That's the other thing. The other part of the conspiracy. And everything's a conspiracy until it's proven true. And HARP hasn't been shut down. It's just been transferred from government control to a university science branch of control. And so I don't know to answer your question, Hellraiser, I wouldn't be surprised if it's not being used. And I'm relatively certain that China has similar technology and Russia has similar technology. And a lot of this massive, ugly weather, while a lot of it is because of changes climate-wise, and not necessarily because of man, all right? Natural climate changes, in my opinion. Again, this is something we're not supposed to talk about. But yeah, I think there's probably governments involved in the way the weather has been and the locations the weather where severe weather has been popping up that it is not historically normal. I think you have to at least question it. Ever watch those pimple popping videos? Oh my gosh. Blech. No. I've got a friend that absolutely loves that show, and no, 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 I don't watch that. I watch Deadliest Catch. I watch The Curse of Oak Island. Yeah, I'm one of those people that have been sitting for 10 freaking years waiting on them to find something, and they keep bringing up rocks and wood. And anyway, and outside of that, I don't have a lot of. I used to watch a lot of TV. I don't watch a lot of TV anymore. But I do watch Oak Island. I do watch Deadliest Catch, Gold Rush. I've been watching Gold Rush for a long time, and what's that? There's one on Bravo, Below Deck on Bravo. So I appreciate you, Lisa Hurley. And again, if I'd have known, I would have said something. I wasn't ignoring it. I wasn't. I just wasn't aware of it. Taurus 76 Rising. The truth is everyone has been fooled by squirrels. Oreo, Jersey J. Hang on a second. This chat goes too fast. Let me see if I can run it back up. Well, what happened? How at American Doofus, when the whole chat can't comprehend any of this because they are inbred like for real. Who's that? That's from Queenie. Hi, Queenie. I don't think I've seen you on here. This chat, there's some really intelligent people in this chat, and there's some really intelligent people that watch the show. There may be some that tune out when something other than 1776 is on, and that's okay. But I just I got to keep trying. Can't save the world, but we might be able to save a portion of it and start rebuilding it once it's all destroyed. Okay, this chat just keeps getting up to the top, and then I once it gets to the top, I lose the ability to see the things. And I wanted to read what Taurus 76 said. I think if I want any kids saved, Lori's about the last person on my list to call. I think if I wanted any kids saved. Okay. For some reason, I thought it said, I think if I wanted to have any kids. Lori is doing what Lori thinks is best. It doesn't mean that we all necessarily agree, but it may prove that Lori is right, and what she did there's a positive outcome. I don't know, but we have to at least acknowledge that she's doing what she thinks is right. And there's Lori Arnold there now, and we don't see. That's the thing. This show is not. I'm not a judge. I'm not a prosecutor. I'm not a police officer. So you don't hear me screaming about arresting people. You don't hear me screaming about this is what ought to be happening to somebody. Um, and basically, we just report on stuff. Um, and it's, um, I've been staying away from Discord because I'm an independent journalist and I really do report on these things. And I know there's a lot going on behind the scenes in the discords. So I don't I haven't been going on Discord anywhere in order to not be caught up in any of this because somebody has to be able to objectively report about everything. And that's what I try to do. Pretty sure there's nothing on Oak Island. They've been digging that out of that forever. They have. They have. I just, I've watched it for so long. I'm at the point that I just know that if I stop watching it, they're gonna find something. And yeah, actually, they've already kind of moved on to the spin-off Beyond Oak Island, where they're going around and finding other people that are digging for things that aren't there. I would like to see somebody find something once. Oh, there is one other show I like to watch. Josh, and not Josh Flopper and not Josh Oreo. Oh, crap. Expedition Unknown. Josh Gates. Um, he's another one that only occasionally he finds something. 90% of the time it's just the adventure. And they're digging for something and looking for something and they never find it. But every once in a while he does find something. So um, climate change is real. Not related to coal or cars, 100% related to governments experimenting with upper atmosphere. Um, I'm not going to poo-poo. I'm not going to poo-poo any of that, Max Smith. Climate change this is my opinion. This is not telling you what to think or how to think. This is just my opinion. Climate change is historical. Um, Climate change is science. We can see with the same technologies almost, the core samples, the magnetism of various rocks and elements that show that we have had a polar flip. The same techniques show that there have been changes in the climate, including an ice age. And we could be heading into another ice age. It's about time for that, according to climate science. So I'm not going to poo-poo anything Max said there. Um, it could be advanced because of experiments with trying to control the weather. Just like we could see all these earthquakes that are happening. Russia has one, China has one, we have one. Electromagnetic pulse weapons, EMPs, where we can create electromagnetic pulses that can bring down power grids, but they can also be shot into the earth at specific trigger points near fault lines and create havoc in the form of massive earthquakes. So there are too many things. Again, we live in times that once you start looking at everything that could possibly be happening in the world, that all of our attention is always focused on championship wrestling or the whatever it may be, and I'm, like I said, I'm as guilty as anybody. I watch 3 or 4 shows. There's a lot that has happened that we aren't aware of in the ways of advancements of technologies, and there, and a lot of that advancement is in weaponry. And when we think of war, we still think of people shooting at each other with rifles, and that still happens. But it's about to take a step to a different level. Okay, I'm gonna get down to the bottom here. Max Flower. I got to say something about Max Flower. Okay, when I first jumped on this story, as you've seen tonight, we cover a lot of things on here, and we have been for a long time. When I first jumped on this story, it was a gunshot at an overpass, and then a yellow fire truck shooting water across an interstate, and it was just what is this? And I started loosely following and reporting, maybe once a week if something happened, or if something relatively big happened. I wasn't following it like a lot of the people in the chat. I was just observing, and when it would pop up in the places I get information, then I would look and see. And one time it popped up, this guy calling himself Santa was a Proud Boy, and he's going to lead a convoy into Washington, D.C., and this time the convoy is going to have teeth. That was the story. And I remember it distinctly. And at that point, I started researching how do I find out more about this 1776 thing that has just been started. And I started seeing 1776 live streamers. And I was observing, just as I still do, and just as I have in a lot of situations, I would go into one of those live streams, chats, and say, full disclosure, I'm an independent journalist. I have a legitimate question. Only two channels ever responded to me. The very first thing I got was only two channels responded to the question. Okay, every channel responded to me. Most of them deleted me immediately because it wasn't about having independent journalists. It was about controlling a message. And the one channel one channel was about 15 people, did the little @ sign with American Doofus channel, and FAFO, which I had no clue what it even meant, and I thought, FAFO, okay, well, I'll go look that up and see where that leads me. And and the only two channels that responded, WYSIWYG responded to me and actually answered one of my questions. And somebody on the Wyckoff channel responded to me and said, you need to go ask these questions to BTM. So again, I researched and said, what's BTM? And BTM was, and still is, behind the mirror. The platform's not active at the moment, but will be when it's necessary. And no, I'm not BTM. And no, I'm not responsible for any of this. And no, I'm not behind all this. And no, I don't control all this. Because I've heard all this. No, none of that's true. I'm an independent journalist now, semi-retired, and following a story. So I go on to, I find BTM and I watch the chat for a while, and it's totally different than any chat I'd ever seen. And I said, I posted I'm an independent journalist. I have a legitimate question about 1776. Max Flower immediately says, what do you want to know? Which was totally different than it ever happened at any other point. So thank you, Max Flower, for that. And I asked the question, and she answered, and a few others answered. And Max Flower said, you need to know the lore. You need to know the lore. And she was so right. And for those that, you need to know the history. You need to know, when you're doing a story, you need to know the backstory. And I've never said that before, but I just wanted to say thank you, Max Flower, for all your help in getting me to where I'm at as far as covering this story. BTM is a hug box. I don't think the board's up anymore. I think the BTM YouTube site is just temporarily dark as far as not having content at the moment. But I wouldn't count it out. AP kids are fine. Yeah. All of this has put kids in danger. Kids that shouldn't be a part of this or be in danger. And AP's kids are, they've put her address out. They've done so much stuff. And now Squirrel's daughter and granddaughter are in a situation that they didn't ask for either. So, and this is without us being at a shooting war with each other. Just extrapolate it out a little bit and imagine all the unintended consequences and all the collateral damage if we do start shooting each other. It's just, after everything we talked about tonight, everything going on in the world, the last thing we should ever think about is trying to divide the United States to make the country weaker to our foreign enemies. North Korea fired a ballistic missile over Japan tonight. And by the way, if you go over Japan far enough, you hit Hawaii. So were they checking their trajectory instead of their distance? Something to think about. Okay. Why am I blocked? Oh, I'm sorry. That's Von Michelle asking AP. Homeschooling can go off the rails if not regulated. Homeschooling can be non-existent. Homeschooling can create ignorance, and ignorance is not good for society's future. Hitler was trying it for a weapon. The Germans were really close to a lot of really destructive technology when everything fell apart at the end of World War II. Hello, Jameson. Taurus 76 Rising Squirrels are in Florida to make up for all the vulgar shit we all got to see about them as it never happened, making Lori, AP, and Ant take the fall for everything. Traitors. The kids teach themselves by walking around. I know that I just can't defend that as far as homeschooling as the kids teaching themselves. Anyway, I don't, that's just my opinion. we're pretty vulnerable with a potato in the Oval Office, that's for sure. Sagebrush Rebel, as I said, I've been in politics, and a lot of you don't know any of this stuff, and you're probably, when I'm saying all this stuff, you probably think it's BS. None of it is. I got receipts for everything. I've met every living president except former President Trump. And I met Joe Biden when he was a senator. The first time I met him was at a fundraiser. Second time I met him was in his office when I was running for office. I ran for Congress against a guy named Mike Pence in Indiana. And Mike Pence eventually became, of course, Vice President Mike Pence under Trump. And I had the opportunity to go out there and didn't. Anyway, that's not what this is about. What this is about is Joe Biden. Biden's a typical politician. He's nothing. He's not a genius. He's nothing different than your average politician. And I don't have a lot of confidence. And that's one thing I think a lot of people in the middle, Eric had asked earlier if there was one thing, and this might be the one thing, that people in the middle don't want Biden and people in the middle don't want Trump. We don't want either one of them. We've had it, we don't want either one of them to come back. We don't want Trump coming back, and we don't want Biden to come back once he's done with his time. And I could be really wrong about that. I'll know about it, when the messages start coming in. But that could be something that we could agree on. Don't be starting that, Lori Arnold. Doofus for president. No, thank you. AP's a hot mess. Anarchy Princess is, I know she was on tonight. I'm not sure what she's doing, but she's still out doing it. It's obvious he's in mental decline. I've seen some things that might lead to that. Having been in politics, I've got some connections in D.C. I've got some former, I got a couple of interns that worked for me that are now working in D.C. and other places, and a couple of staffers that are fairly high up now in D.C. And I will say at one point, his health was not very good, and there was question about whether he could continue. And it was more than just the COVID thing. At least that's what was going around. That was the buzz going around. So, watch Anonymous Official Channel. You will see Truth Doofus. Yeah, most of the stuff I get from Anonymous is well ahead of stuff anybody else is getting, and most of the stuff is always pans out to be true, including when I'm told that, hey, I was sitting in a space one night, and we were basically listening in to the Kremlin because people had hacked in to the Kremlin communication system. So there are a lot of people with a lot of skills, and a lot of people don't often think about. And before anybody starts wanting to go to war, there are a lot of ways war can be waged. I'll just leave it as that. That's cool, Hellraiser. We might just have some acquaintances in common. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, okay. I'm a nerd. What can I say? I'm one of those guys that I was a jock, and I'm also a nerd. And I'm so glad, because you can only be a jock for so long, but being a nerd, every day's a learning experience, and that's incredible. Truth will set us free. And I know Lori Arnold. Hey, I have said from the start, one of the first things that kind of brought people from 1776 to pay it to give us a click, which I again gratefully am incredibly grateful for. I did an episode where I said this is like a traditional, 1970s 80s sitcom, and you've got AP and Lori Arnold, who are the co-stars. Lori Arnold, and Lori Arnold is like the glue that holds everything together. Lori Arnold's the real one. Lori Arnold's the one that, whether she's right or wrong, whether you agree with her or disagree with her, she's doing what she thinks is right. And that Ant is like he's the content king. He's the comic relief. He is the persona that when Ant's on, everybody's got to watch. Okay? When AP doesn't have to be on. All right? When Ant's on, everybody watches. AP doesn't have to be on. AP gets talked about whether she's on or not, whether she's in a chat or not. And pluck the patriarchy. There you are. Say my name. AP, the people determined AP was the star. She's and she still is. And people still talk about her. And that's how people started coming to this. So I've said from the get-go, and I also said the squirrels are like those, the guest stars that always pop in at just the right time, something happens and the squirrels are there. When it seems like there's going to be a lull, the squirrels show up. And that Jersey Jay and Telescope were like the special guest stars that only show up in 1 or 2 episodes just to help a series get launched, and then they win win awards, for best guest appearance in internet drama. So whether she's right or wrong, Lori's going to do what she thinks is right, and you have to have respect for that. If it turns out she's wrong, then accountability, and I imagine Lori will be accountable. And I'm just going from what I've observed. I haven't hung out with her. I'd like Lori, if when you get back up this way, let's meet for a sandwich or something and talk off camera, just like Hoosier to Hoosier, lefty to righty. Because one thing about Indiana, most people in Indiana deem themselves independent. All right, they have political leanings, but for the most part, we all value our independence in Indiana, and I think we have that in common across the country. A lot of us value our independence, and that's another one of the things that we can come together on, in my opinion. Eric the mechanic, if you're still out there watching. Gas in 2000, $1. 2008, $4.60. Crickets. It was $4.29 today, and A 2 liter of Mountain Dew is $3. It was 99 cents 6 months ago. Matt and Jay Leonard, 50, are from Indiana. There are Lois, Matt, Jay Lynn, Vern, Indiana Bob, of course, Bandit. So there are at least 5 known 1776ers from Indiana. Okay, Lori. Yeah, you got my email. Come be a coal miner. I'll tell you what, if I was younger, there were some things I would be doing. Being a coal miner, I admire the crap out of what they do, what you do if you are one. But I couldn't do it. Number one, I had something called histoplasmosis when I was a kid. It's a lung thing that I got to be really careful about stuff, including COVID. Hey, Cindy, you're saying good night all. Cindy, you tried to come up the other night, and I couldn't get the connection, and then you came back up, and I didn't realize you'd come back up. And next time you're in here, please come up. Like to hear what you have to say. Hoosiers don't like pedos. No, we don't. Most people in Indiana are, again, just probably like a lot of you out there watching right now, just want to be left alone. You know, I'm not breaking any laws. I'm not hurting anybody. Just leave me alone. But too often that just doesn't happen. So, oh my gosh, I'm coming up on 2 hours here. So I'm going to close this out because, again, you know, as late as we are, a lot of people watch the replay, and I thank you all for doing that. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Eric, for coming up. Thank you, BTM Sparky. Thank you all for being in chat. Thank you all for your questions. I'm going to take tomorrow night off unless something significant happened. North Korea launching a ballistic missile over Japan. Oh, and I didn't even tell you the other part about Russia. Hang on with me for just a second here. Let me pull something up. Make sure I didn't delete it. Because this has the underwater torpedo, nuclear drone, and I forgot to point out the other news out of Russia that is rather significant. This also today. This was from how long ago was this? 4:11 p.m. October the 3rd. This is a train operated by the Secretive Nuclear Division and linked to the 12th Main Directorate of the Russian Ministry of Defense, and it was spotted in central Russia this past weekend, headed towards the front line in Ukraine. Let me go. Okay, it's still up. The trucks have been unloaded from the trains and are in a convoy heading towards the front lines. So just another thing to think about as we close things out here. So thank you, Taurus, for 76. Everybody's voice does matter. Thank you, Fred Colbert, for being here. Real Talk. Thank you, CC Reagan. Mike Hunt. Mike Smith. Trump will be our next president. There's actually a chance that can happen before 2024. Again, if I talked about this briefly last night, I'll do it real quick again. If the Republicans win the House of Representatives, they are in control of who is the Speaker of the House. The Speaker of the House does not have to be a member of Congress. If the Republicans control the House, if the Republicans win control of the House and they win control of the Senate, Trump can be appointed Speaker of the House of Representatives. Then the House can file impeachment upon Biden and Harris. The Senate would try the impeachment. The Supreme Court, having been packed by Trump, would disavow any kind of potential appeals. Biden would be impeached. Harris would be impeached. Without a president and a vice president, number 3 in line in the order of succession is the Speaker of the House. Trump would become president in January of 2023, 2 years ahead of the election. It's not being talked about a lot in mainstream media. It's not being talked about a lot online. It's being talked about a lot in Washington, D.C. as a danger if you're on the left, and as a danger if you're on the right and you're not part of Trump. If you're deemed a rhino, R-I-N-O, Republican in name only. And on the other side, it's Dino, D-I-N-O, Democrat in name only. And anybody in the middle, you're one of those two, according to the extremes on both sides. So I hope it doesn't come to that either. I'm just saying that it's a very real possibility, and it's being discussed among the political people. I'm not fear-mongering. I'm not fear-mongering at all. They don't have a 2/3 majority right now. There's an election coming up, and 1/3 of the Senate is up for election. Not fear-mongering at all. It's just constitutional interpretation, because it's in the Constitution. If Biden resigns, Harris is president. Unlikely both could be removed. In normal conditions, yeah. But if you've got Marjorie Taylor Greene and you got them in charge of Congress, you don't think they're going to remove both of them to make Trump president? You don't think making Trump president again is the ultimate goal? And I'm just telling you, there's a way it could happen that not a lot of people are aware of or thinking about. I'm not fear-mongering at all. American Doofus Channel, what about December? Oh, Pamela, I mentioned December earlier because Proud Army girlfriend, her guy was supposed to have leave in December, and because of the conditions and situation the world is in, the leave has been canceled. So that's all that was about. That wasn't anything secret or anything like that. It was just, isn't that what you said on your? Didn't you say that in your tweet, Proud Army girlfriend? Okay, yeah, all right, yeah. So that's what that was about as far as December. It wasn't some code or I know something's going to happen. It was nothing like that. I just felt bad that and it happens to so many people, and I've got military people in my family. My oldest daughter flew Predator drones, and when you're hoping something's going to happen and you find out it's not, and you've been waiting for a long time for it to happen, it sucks. So I hope they get that all worked out. Yeah, that was about you. I was trying to let you know that I had sympathy for what you were going through without going into detail. But I noticed in the chat it was like, hey, what's Doofus know about December and what's going to happen in December? So, I, yeah, it was about Proud Army Girlfriend's tweet. Um, Santa calls me Halls. If anybody knows David Rydell, I'd like to invite him on here too. Um, um, Carl knows he's always welcome on here, but you got to remember Carl's involved in a lot of things, and uh, even Carl coming on here with just his voice would open him up to voice recognition. So um, I appreciate Carl being in the chat, and I understand why uh, Carl won't be coming on here, and I'm okay with that. You're welcome, Proud Army Girlfriend. Um, Herschel Walker left his family to screw women left and right. Says his son called him a serial liar. Um, there aren't a lot of people that I say absolutely should not be running for office. Herschel Walker is someone that absolutely should not be running for office. Um, and that has nothing to do with the pigment of his skin. It has more to do with being qualified to make decisions that impact not only every person in the United States, but people all around the world. Um, Carl is a legend, yes. Uh, you think the shit show's bad now? Just have David on. I just, I've got some questions. I got some questions about some things. Some questions about some things. Um, yeah, I know there's no need for him to come on. He streams his own stuff, but it would be, you know, it would be interesting to hear from those people in a neutral place um, that is not, the message is not totally under their control. Um, you're in Indiana, I'm in Evansville. We can stop by and say hi to David Rydell. Mike, I think he's going to probably be in the northern part of the state, so we might have to make might have to make a road trip. Um, Mindbender, only if you have me to debate him. Actually, you know, last night I was joking around. It wasn't really a joke when it first came out. I realized how um, impossible it was after I said it. But I said, Oreo was in here last night. And I said, let's set something up and have a conversation. And whatever money is raised, because I know he's going to raise money, goes to Florida to the Red Cross Relief Fund for Florida. And after I knew there was no chance of that happening, but I thought about it. I was thinking about it later last night, and I know there's no chance of David Rydell coming on here to talk with me. However, Santa, David Rydell, and Ant-Man, or Oreo and Lori, or AP, or Squirrels. Those kind of conversations ought to happen on a place like this, especially if nobody has anything to hide. Just something to think about. I will debate David Rydell. Last person I debated was Mike Pence. So, in all honesty, Oreo don't want any of it. He don't want any of me. And I don't. And I know that sounded arrogant. I realized it after I said it, but it's just facts. Why is 1776 even relevant anymore? Um, they're not on the front burner anymore, Fred, and they're becoming less and less relevant as the days go by. And again, like BTM Sparky said, every fire has to burn out eventually. And I hope we're getting there. I'll debate Brett. Fireman? Hey, I'll host that too. I think people would watch that. Fireman and Brett, one-on-one debate on here, and I control the debate with the questions. I would debate Buzz Aldrin. I got to campaign 3 separate times with John Glenn, and it was absolute freaking awesome. It was absolute three incredibly great days. Fireman couldn't debate a paper bag. Should he be crying about dough not watching planes? Lori, I know you would, and put it out there through the channels. Let's get people on here talking. If there's nothing to hide, 1776, if you're really wanting to build something, come on this channel. Come on a neutral channel. At the same time, one of the opposition is on here. Nobody's going to hurt anybody. Nobody's going to be able to physically touch anybody. And nobody's going to talk over everybody. I'll control who's on the screen. I'll control who's got volume. And let's talk all this out. And if there's nothing to hide, move on. Sure seems like there's something to hide because those things don't happen. Mike Hunt, Barry, I want you to debate Chris Wizzy. Mike, you're not from Henry County, Indiana, are you originally? Because I know a kid named Mike Hunt, and I know Brian Hunt, and I know Rusty Hunt, and I know the Hunt family, a family of people named Hunt. So you want me to debate Wizzy? I don't know what I think if Wizzy and I got to talking, we would end up talking more about the movie industry and about things like that. I don't know. We may not. It may be a lot of yelling and screaming on his part, and me just going, "Chill, dude." But yeah, Fireman, if you and Brett want to come on here, Lori and the squirrels. You got it, Lori. You got it. We'll do that anytime. It is a troll, doofus. All right, I'm going to get out of here. It's been over 2 hours. We're coming up on 2 hours and 15 minutes. So you should have Telescope on sometime to talk about the discourse in the chat. I had Telescope on here. Gosh, I don't know. It's been a couple of weeks ago. And Telescope's Barry, you know my older brother's Rusty. I'll be damned. Well, cool, Mike. That's awesome. Thank you, Cunning Stunt. That's awesome. Mechanic Eric. There you go. Couldn't have said it better myself. AP has Red's number. Anybody wants to come on and talk, we gladly host it. And I'll be back Wednesday at midnight Eastern Daylight Time, which is 11 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. in the mountains, 9 p.m. Pacific Time. Unless something incredibly happens tomorrow, and then we'll be back tomorrow night. But the plan is Wednesday night at midnight, because after all, Oak Island's supposed to be on the season premiere tomorrow. That's not the reason. It'd be over well before that. But need a night off and maybe some de-stressing and just getting away from, something else to think about for a night. We'll see how it all plays out. I love y'all. Thank you very much for being here. You want to get in touch with me? Email is americandufus, AMERICANDUFUS @gmail.com. If you like what we're doing and you want to help the show out, that's always appreciated too. Cashapp is $American-Dufus. I've got 3 novels out. They're in the description below. And I love you all. We'll see you tomorrow night, or we'll see you Wednesday night for sure at midnight on another episode of Late Night America right here on the American Dufus channel. Thanks for watching. I love you all.